Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So let's delve into the three types of words in Arabic. Each word that you come across in Arabic can be placed into one of three categories. The first is the fa'il, which is equivalent to a verb in English. Now, for those of you who don't recall, or perhaps haven't studied this for some time, a verb is an action word, meaning it has an action embedded into it. So, such as jumped, ran, drove, opened, entered, so forth. There's an action that's embedded into it, and it's always trapped within time. The second type of word is a harf, which is known as a particle. And a particle is essentially a small word which supports another word that comes after it in meaning and context. The third is an isim, which is usually translated as a noun, which in English means a person, place, or thing, but in reality it's more of like a supernoun. It is essentially anything that is not a harf nor a verb. So that means it's a person, place, thing, adjective, adverb, and so on. So these are the three types of words in Arabic. So now that we've explored the three types, where do these words really come from? So interestingly enough, in Arabic, words, most of them, go back to a root. So let's see what that looks like conceptually. So take the root fa'ala with the letters fa, ayn, and lam. With those letters, we can actually produce more words. So if we change the fa to have a kasra, the ayn to have a sukun, and the lam to have a dhamma, we create a brand new word. If we go ahead and we take the fa and we add an alif to it, then on the ayn we put a kasra, and then on the lam we have two dhammas, we create once again another word. And if we have a prefix the ya, and then on the fa we put a sukun, and then on the lam we put a dhamma, we once again produce another word. From a single root, you can go ahead and you can produce hundreds of words. It's quite remarkable. So what does this process really look like? So the process of creating a new word requires that you take a root and you place it on a pattern that has a particular meaning, and then this will give a rise to a brand new word. So let's see what that really means conceptually. So we have this thing that we came up with as a concept for conceptualizing it called the sarf machine. So you take a root word such as kataba, which means he wrote. You put it into the machine, then it's placed on this pattern, which is fa'ilun, which is the doer pattern. When you take the root and you take this pattern, you merge it together, you get a brand new word, which is katibun, which means writer. So kataba held the meaning of he wrote, and then fa'ilun was the doer, then it becomes writer, who is the one that does the writing, right? So the first type of word is the verb, also known as the fa'il. Now, it has four main properties. It has person, which is third person, second person, and first person. It has tense, which is past tense, present tense, and future tense. It has gender, male and female, number, singular, dual, and plural. So let's explore each of these. So when it comes to gender, there are two. There's male and female. So we have here fataha, which means he opened. By conjugating it, we can actually change it to mean she opened by putting a ta with a sukun on that end. So fatahat means she opened. Now let's take a look at number. So in Arabic, there is singular, dual, which is two people, and plural, three or more. Unlike in English, where there is simply singular and plural. Plural in English is two or more. In Arabic, they have a separate identification for solely just two people for accuracy. So for a single person, it would be fataha, which is he opened, one individual opened. We can conjugate it by putting an alif on the end, and it becomes fataha, which means they both opened, two individuals opened. And we can furthermore conjugate it again by putting a dhamma on the end with a waw and an alif, and it becomes they all opened. So they, three or more people opened. So through conjugating, we can change number, and we can also change gender. So let's take a look at person, which is a concept that might not be familiar to a lot of us in terms of its terminology, but we know it because we use it. So third person is when you're speaking about someone who's not there. So you use a pronoun such as he or she, and it's referring to someone who's absent. So if I say he left yesterday, I'm not speaking to this person or speaking about this person. I'm speaking about someone who's not there, right? So it's to speak about someone who's absent. Now, if I go ahead and utilize second person, that means I'm speaking directly to this person. So you left yesterday. And if I say first person, that means I'm speaking about myself. So I use pronouns such as I and we. And you can conjugate the verb to accommodate all of these pronouns. So the third person, second person, and first person. So the fourth property is now tense. And the first is the past tense. So you have fataha, which means he opened. Notice that the ed is highlighted because that represents the past tense in English. Now, interestingly enough, in the present tense, or the verb that's used to represent the present tense is yaftahu. And this form can be utilized for both the present and the future. So it means he is opening, and it also means he will open. There are ways to restrict it to one or the other, but generally the difference is known through context. So just a quick summary of the four properties. We have person, so he helped, you helped, I helped. We have tense, he helped, he is helping, or he will help. Then we have gender, he helped versus she helped. Then we have number, he helped versus they both helped. So 1 versus 2. So the second type is the harf. And we said that the harf is a small word that supports a word that comes after it in context and meaning. Now there are two types of huruf generally. There are those that have impact, and there are those that don't have impact. So as for the ones that do have impact, let's take a look at this example. Kitabun. If we put a harf before it, such as fi, notice how it changes the ending to in. It goes from un to in. So it becomes fi kitabin. So it had an impact on it. While on the other hand, there are certain ones that actually have no impact. So we had kitabun here. Now if I were to put the wow in front of it, there would be no impact. It would still be bun, un on the end, right? So the huruf, or the particles, there are two types. There are those that have impact and those that don't. As for the isim, there are four properties in regards to it. The first is definiteness, which is when you're referring to something that is specific or non-specific. So the book versus a book. If I say the book, it's a specific book, and if I say a book, it's a general book. You don't know which one I'm speaking about specifically. Now, it also has gender associated to it, so words can be male. So isms can be male or female. For example, Fatima is a female lady, and Muhammad is a male man. There's also number. So Muslimun is a single Muslim. Muslimani with the ani ending is two Muslims. And Muslimuna with the una ending is three Muslims, or three or more Muslims. And finally, we have status, which is something that we'll actually cover in great detail in the coming lessons, inshallah. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.